Welcome to the Capitol. We are here with State Representative Todd Thomsen. Todd, it's been a fabulous week.
This has been a very interesting week, and I have to say that every time that you think that there's going to be legislation that is controversial, it ends up not being controversial, and then there's things that you think that will have little discussion that end up taking an hour for debate, and that's kind of how it played out this week.
Well, let's start with the tough one, where a battle took place in a battlefield, which is the Guantanamo Bay issue. Talk a little bit about what you thought for your constituents back in Ada.
Well, there was a simple resolution that was put forth, basically stating that we as Oklahomans do not want any of the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay shipped to Oklahoma, or really anywhere on U.S. soil to be imprisoned. We don't want them here. And that was just a statement on behalf of the House of Representatives. There was a great debate over the fact that we use the word terrorist as opposed to detainee. I, on behalf of my constituents, did not apologize for if I hurt the guys' feelings by calling them terrorists. And so I voted to call them terrorists because I felt like and do feel like that the acts that they've been a part of are terroristic activity, and had no shame in voting for that. We ended up having great debate over that, which took a lot longer, and that's one of the bills I was referencing. Was that the fact that you thought, man, this will be a slam dunk, surely everybody wants this, and yet we had some representatives, even some from my own area, that voted against it.
Right, and it ended up, though, passing. The resolution passed, and so what does this mean for the people of Ada?
Well, what this means is simply that we took a stand as the House of Representatives to say, President Obama, this is just kind of letting you know our desire. Of course, he can do as he chooses in this situation, but this is our desire and our request that we have none of those prisoners sent to the United States.
Okay, and now something closer to home for all of us, our children. There has been legislation thrown around a little bit, and now it's beginning to move on autism. Talk a little bit about that.
One of the most heated issues last year was autism, and in specific legislation called Nick's bill. And it was put forth, really the idea of the bill is to mandate that insurance does a entire multitude of treatments for an autistic child. There was some discussion. One, we didn't want to impose mandates onto insurance companies with the end result raising the price of insurance for all Oklahomans and cutting some people out of the possibility of having insurance. The other thing, Representative Steele did a thorough job throughout this interim and all through last session, really focusing on what kind of services are actually in place, and he found that there's a great void of services for that. So we could mandate all we wanted to insurance to provide services, but without the infrastructure, so to speak, in place, they would not be able to do so. So his legislation that we passed today basically starts the process of establishing and incentivizing that infrastructure to take place so that actually services are provided not only in the metro areas, but then also in the rural areas, kind of like where I live.
So, good piece of legislation for the families of autistic children. Studies have shown, as I understand, that if we're able to treat early and treat properly, that there's chance of recovery and just a full and great life for these kids and for their families.
Well, I think the thing that you have to understand is there's such a wide variety of diagnosis that fall under the autism diagnosis. So being properly diagnosed, having the proper treatment. There are some what we would call maybe alternative or additional treatments that are being asked to cover, and I think we need to get a little bit more of a baseline standardized treatment option for them. You know, when I say we, me and my wife had a child that was 24-hour care for a year. And so I fully understand and appreciate the plight of a parent that has an autistic child because they deal with significant obstacles and challenges. I also understand that there are many Oklahoma families that have kids that aren't autistic but have other conditions. We want to make sure that we are providing equal access and opportunity and aren't just focusing on one diagnosis but all things. But I do understand because taking care of a child on a full-time basis, you know, when you have trouble stepping out of the house because you know your child is in need, and you're wondering who's going to come and help. You don't have parents to help. You don't have friends or family. You don't have people. You aren't experienced enough. Where do you get that help? I mean, it is a tough place to be in, but I think making that quick judgment to mandate something that's not even available was a little premature, and I think Representative Steele did the proper and prudent thing in this legislation. Good, good. Final thoughts from the week. Well, final thoughts. We had a great week. I had a lot of great ADA people come up. You know, homeschooling, Oklahoma, I think, can be proud that we have one of the most protected homeschool opportunities in the nation. I had a lot of my constituents come up that are personal friends, and they came up. And the great thing about homeschoolers, and I want you all to know that you did a great job with all of the homemade cookies. And so I've sampled them all, and I've made sure that everybody can have one because they are safe to eat. So that was the one great thing about having all the homeschool kids. Plus, to a person, each family was so polite and so interested in the process. And I think the thing that you just don't appreciate until you come up here is the activity that takes place in the Capitol. One, how beautiful the Capitol is, and then all that's going on. And so it was really nice to have constituents that were friends to come up and be around. And so that added kind of a special touch to all the tension and the drama with particular legislation. Right. The Capitol truly is a destination point, and in Ada, you can always know that you have a friend up here that you can visit with you, takes the time, wants to listen, and get your good ideas. Representative Todd Thomsen, thanks again for being with us right here on mylegislator.tv. Thanks.